Much and hello again, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha, welcoming you to Portland International Raceway and the championship stretch run in the 1990 IMSA GTO, GTU, and All-American Challenge Series. In GTO, 3 points separate the top 3 drivers, led by rookie star Robbie Gordon with the Lincoln Mercury team. In the GTU class, Lance Stewart and his Mazda has a pretty good grip on the championship, but Nissan and Dodge are knocking at the door. It should be a great race. Joining me in the booth will be veteran IMSA car owner and racer Rob Dyson and former GTO champion and now IndyCar star Scott Pruitt. Now let's take a look at the starting grid for today's event. On the pole in his Nissan 300ZX twin-turbo, New Zealander Steve Millen next to Dorsey Schrader, the SCCA Trans Am champion in a Mercury Cougar turbo. On row 2, the points leader, young Robbie Gordon in another Mercury Cougar next to the defending class champion Pete Halsmer in a Mazda RX-7 looking for that model's 100th IMSA win. Row 3 will be Jeremy Dale, Millen's teammate in the Nissan next to Elliott Forbes Robinson, Halsmer's teammate for Mazda. Row 4 will be Bob Patch, a privateer Chevy Corvette with just a beautiful sound. R.G. Gottlieb has a Chevy Camaro next to him. Row 5 will be our pole sitters in the All-American Challenge. That's Keith Delaney in a Pontiac Trans Am and our GTU pole sitter, Stu Hainer in a Dodge Daytona. Row 6, John Finger in a Mazda next to the similar car of Bill Auberlin. Row 7, Lance Stewart in a Mazda, the GTU points leader next to Don Knowles in a Dodge. David Loring and J.D. Smith on row 8. Bob Leitzinger, the GTU class champ, and Al Bacon on 9. Row 10 will be Monty Shelton in an old Porsche 911 next to Dale Kreider in a Buick. Don Reynolds and Paul Lewis in a Nissan and a Mazda on row 11. Row 12, Vic Manueli in a Mercury Capri next to the Canadian Mazda of Graham Morin. Row 13, Dwayne Oblemus in a Mazda next to the car of Mike Henderson, John Daly, and Rick Weldon on row 14. And row 15, Anthony Paleo in a Chevy Camaro. Down the 3/4 mile front straightaway at Portland they come. Jim Sidley waves the the green flag, and we are underway. To the right of your screen, Dorsey Schrader with his teammate right behind him, Robbie Gordon.
Looks like Robbie's not going to give it up either. He's leaning pretty hard on Steve, and now Steve managed to hold on there.
Gordon locks him up, the number 9 car, and Steve Millen, the pole sitter, manages to wedge that number 75 Nissan in between.
Gordon was lucky he didn't go off the course then, didn't you think, Scotty?
He certainly was. Looks like having a little action back in the GTU division here. Somebody got off course and a lot of dirt flying.
It gets very crowded down those first few corners. Scott mentioned they get up to 170 miles an hour in the front straightaway. And it's anyone's guess when you hit the brakes in order to haul it down to about 60 miles an hour for that first corner. There's a look at the GTO champion, the number 1 Mazda of Pete Halsmer. As I mentioned, Mazda looking for the 100th IMSA win for the RX-7 model here today at Portland. Little shimmy there from your race leader, Dorsey Schrader, the defending Sports Car Club of America Trans Am sedan champion. He will defend that title this year. In fact, this is the first of 10 consecutive race weekends all the way through October. Dorsey Schrader, an absolute workhorse for Jack Rouse's Ford and Lincoln Mercury teams.
That kind of schedule keeps a driver crisp, but it sure is tough on the family.
That's why you got to be single.
As a married man talking to a bachelor.
Dorsey Schrader is off the course over there.
And Millen right there to take advantage, but he can't quite close it up. Now he gets a little sideways, and he has got to watch out for Robbie Gordon behind him. Nose to tail racing in the top 6 here at Portland. And we've got a spinner near the back.
That track may be slicker than we thought.
That's the number 79 of J.D. Smith in a Chevy Camaro. Started on row 8. He is significantly further behind now. Back up front with the number 6 Lincoln Mercury Cougar Turbo of Dorsey Schrader.
Dorsey's having a really easy day of it today. He's in a position now. He's far enough ahead of second place where he can conserve tires, he can conserve the car, and really watch for traffic. That's what happened to Pete. I think a back marker may have caught him off guard. So he's in a position now where he can just really play his own race.
And right now he is passing the leader in the GTU class. So Dorsey Schrader goes by John Finger's Mazda, and that gives you an idea of just how fast these GTO cars in comparison to the GTU machines. And the burden, Rob Dyson, really is on these guys being lapped at this point to get out of the way of the leaders. They're closing at a tremendous rate.
Their problem, of course, is that they've got to make sure they don't move over into the route that the overtaking driver is taking.
Here comes the Dodge GTU team. The 00 car is Don Knowles. The 07 is Stu Hainer. Each of these drivers has won a race this year. In fact, they won them back-to-back. Hainer at Mid-Ohio. Knowles won the event immediately following at Mosport, Canada. Oh, and a big nose in there. The number 7 machine of Bill Auberlin from Rolling Hills, California has gone straight off. But you see him moving around in the car. He seems to be all right. Boy, that was a lick.
He took a big hit there.
He's a lucky man. Those tire walls really work, and he's lucky he didn't get hurt.
Well, that's a good point. You can see that stout fence just behind, and he went straight into it. It's only the tire wall that saved him. Now there is a full course yellow being waved, a full course yellow as a result of Auberlin's accident. IMSA officials have judged that that car is in an unsafe place, and they're going to slow the whole field down to pull it off. It'll give us an opportunity for pit stops. We'll tell you about it.
Again, he has a lot of breathing room. He doesn't want to take any chances right now and really take care of that race car.
He did an excellent job on the restart. He knew it was going to go green because his pit crew told him, and he came around and the pace car pulled off, and he just started going. Excellent job in not only maintaining his lead, but actually building it up while the other cars were jockeying for position.
A lot of heavy traffic back here.
Yeah, you're going to see
Robbie Gordon.
Robbie Gordon has gone straight off. This is in the 4 and 5 complex.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Oh my, Robbie Gordon was running 4th at the time. Oh, and somebody else is off. One of the GTU Mazdas. My goodness, boys, keep it on the dark parts.
He was outside, and I was just going to say that he could get himself popped just a slight little nudge and put him right off the course.
And look at him come whistling back through the field, Robbie Gordon. Now we've got another car off. Oh my. It is very, very warm here at Portland, and we said it at the top of the show. It has a reputation for becoming a slick, marbly track when the heat comes up. There's a lot of crud offline, and if you get onto it, you are going for the ride of your life.
It looks like Steve Millen was actually sleeping there a little bit because Robbie Gordon just zipped right up the inside.
Something broke on Robbie Gordon.
Tire.
He's lost the left front. Oh, and he is just past the pit exit. He is 1.9 miles from getting it around, and this looks serious. The tire has really deteriorated.
He's hurt. He cut exactly the wrong tire at the wrong time.
And let's take another look at what happened to him. Under pressure from, I believe that's Jeremy Dale coming up behind him, or it might be Steve Millen. At any rate, you see the car begin to shimmy.
Boy, it just broke. That tire just went on him, didn't it?
Now more action on the pit lane. Guy Hobbs is down there.
Well, that tire looks like it's in terrible shape as the crew change all 4 tires. There's also a lot of junk in the front, covering up the radiator there. But they're going to clear some of that out, take that wheel out of the way, and have a look at that. I understand from their PR guy that it just went flat on him. It wasn't a puncture, it just went flat. Now they seem to be having some trouble looking underneath the front body panel. I think there's maybe a lot of field under there. And now he's sorted, and he's trying to make his way out. The crew try and bump start him again. Robbie Gordon back underway after a long and irritating pit stop, I would imagine.
There is the number 38 Mazda GTU car. That is John Finger from North Carolina. He was the leader in that class. Right now, Don Knowles in a Dodge has taken over. Let's see what happened to John Finger just a moment ago. Bounds over the curb on the inside, tries to get it straightened up, and around comes the tail. Right behind him was Pete Halsmer, it looked like, in his GTO Mazda.
Little off-road excursion there.
That's Elliott Forbes Robinson, I beg your pardon, coming up from behind.
Checking out the real estate.
Here goes Lance Stewart, leading 122 points to his teammate John Finger's 89. Although he has won but one race this year at Topeka, Kansas. We'll give you a look back to the 2nd and 3rd place cars. The 07 Stu Hainer going underneath his teammate. And Hainer, who won at Mid-Ohio earlier this year, takes over 2nd place in the GTU class for engines of under 3 liters displacement from Don Knowles.
That car is slowing down. 00 is definitely slowing down.
Looks like he's having a problem out there.
Well, there is the number 1 of Pete Halsmer, who damaged the bodywork on that Mazda earlier in the race. He is running a lap down in 6th position. Close behind him is Robbie Gordon in the number 9 that looks very much like Dorsey Schrader's car. They are teammates. Now we have a report the 00 car of Don Knowles has blown a head gasket. Tough break for him. Meanwhile, the battle continues on the racetrack. This is for 6th position. These cars running a lap down, but very close together. We'll be back for more of the GTO GTU All-American Challenge from Portland International Raceway here on Saturday Night Thunder after these words. Welcome back to Portland International Raceway. There's been a change in position now. Let's take a look at what Steve Millen has been up to. There is Millen closing up on Elliott Forbes Robinson, who was running in 2nd place. Down into turn 1 they went. Hard braking, and you can see how narrow it gets down there. Clean pass for Steve Millen, taking over 2nd place from Elliott Forbes Robinson. And Forbes Robinson not in the picture. Suddenly, Steve Millen has really opened up a gap there in second place. He's closing in on the Corvette of Bob Patch, just ahead. 76 is in third place. This is not for position. The number 1 of Pete Halsmer is a lap down, running in 7th. But he's going to want to start making up some ground fairly soon.
He's going to want to stay in the draft only because it's to his advantage. And you never know, if a yellow comes, he might be able to unlap himself, or there he goes right now. Gee, impressive performance on that Mazda.
That's real impressive performance.
Unbelievable.
The car is a good bit lighter, running about 1,900 pounds, as opposed to the 2,600 pounds on these Nissans. So there is a definite weight break there because of the smaller engine run in the Nissan. Now that car number 42 just ahead of the number 1 of Halsmer is Bob Patch, and that is for position. Patch is in 6th. The number 1 Mazda of Halsmer is 7th.
He's real concerned right now is not just on his car, but getting points for this race. He's in a points race for the championship. He knows that he has to make his way back towards the front as far as possible. But more than anything else, bring that car home. Points are so valuable in this, especially when you get down towards the last few races, that he wants more than anything else to finish this race.
Laps running down, just a few moments left here in the Purolator GTO event. Dorsey Schrader is your leader, followed by Steve Millen and Jeremy Dale. Now we've had a lead change in GTU. That is the 07 of Stu Hainer, looking for his second victory of the year. The white car just behind him was the previous class leader, Lance Stewart.
They've been going back and forth all day long. It's not sure how Stu got around him, but looks like he slipped up and got his way by.
Now it looks like
Ain't over yet, guys.
Lance Stewart is going to take another shot at it. Stewart swings wide. He's not going to go with the draft. He's going to try to pass on a straightaway, and he's gotten by. They come to the start-finish stripe almost together, but Lance Stewart gets a fender out in front. Now he's got a car length, and he'll tuck back in. We heard earlier from Stu Hainer's teammate, Thom Knowles, who said they're running the smallest engine in class. And right now he just did not have the horses on a straightaway, but he can certainly turn with them. Under IMSA's sliding weight to displacement scale, he can run that Dodge number 07 a lot lighter than the Mazda, simply because the engine makes less horsepower, and somebody else going off the racetrack as the battle continues for the GTU lead. Stu Hainer trying the outside this time. 37 Lance Stewart covering his line. They get onto the backstretch.
Let's see if number 37 has a braking problem.
Looks like Stu's car's really hooked up, but he's giving a lot of weight down the straightaways. Down in the 7, 8, 9 complex. Stu's really able to make up a lot of time on Lance right up the inside.
So sure it isn't a brake problem.
Side by side, and Lance Stewart gives way now to Hainer once again.
God, look at this, a crisscross. That's a classic crisscross. When a guy goes underneath you and he goes out and you get underneath him. But you can only do that if you've got a little bit more power. In this case, he sure does.
Once again, Lance Stewart goes by on the straightaway, and this time he means to open a big gap before they get down to that first turn. Good battle there for the GTU lead. We're back with our leader, Dorsey Schrader, in the waning moments of this event at Portland International Raceway. It is Schrader, Millen, and Dale. Elliott Forbes Robinson, the last car on the lead lap, followed by Robbie Gordon, Pete Halsmer, Bob Patch. The battle you saw a moment ago between Lance Stewart and Stu Hainer, Al Bacon in a Mazda, David Loring, Bob Leitzinger, Keith Delaney, the leader in the American Challenge Division. Monty Shelton has blown up and dropped out. Don Reynolds and John Finger will move up to take his place. Comes the checkered flag as Dorsey Schrader crosses the start-finish line on the front side drag strip here at Portland. He has won. We'll pick up the battle in GTU once again. Stewart with Hainer right behind him. Hainer knows he has got to make his move right now. He drops back a little bit, then gets a big rush off the corner, but the Mazda has shown the legs on the straightaway, and I think Stu Hainer had to have the lead if he was going to take the class win. They will run nose to tail to the checkers, and Lance Stewart picks up another victory, his second of the year in the GTU class, and with that he will fatten his points lead over his teammate John Finger, who's running well back in the class. And Stu Hainer, who has just broken into the top 10 in points, he is not a threat for the championship at this point. But there is your winner, Dorsey Schrader. When we return to Portland International Raceway, we'll meet him. Stay with us. Schrader opens up an 11-point lead over his teammate Robbie Gordon, who finishes 5th today for the championship. Pete Halsmer drops to 16 points behind. We'll give you a look at the rest of the field. We thank you for being with us. I'm Bob Varsha for Scott Pruitt, Rob Dyson, Guy Hobbs, and Chris McClure, so long from Portland International Raceway in Portland, Oregon.